fertilizer, and both houses of parliament are conducting investigations. What I know for a fact is that Ministry of Agriculture floated a tender for supply of this fertilizer. There are people who are pre-qualified, and they agreed that they could supply the specific type of fertilizer that we needed. But it turns out, from what we're hearing now, that some of them may have supplied substandard fertilizer. Therefore, somebody has to take responsibility.
Yet the CS has raised issue with that assertion. It says that it's fake news, that there's no fake fertilizer.
There was a way within which...
Because the question is about the conduct of members of cabinet in handling this crisis.
Exactly. There was a way also in which he is right, in the sense that when the opposition jumped on it, and I told you, unfortunately, thing with the opposition is that they play what you would call politics without principle, where it's just an argument. Remember, this same program, implemented by the same minister last year, because of the successful implementation of this program, we added 200,000 hectares of land under cultivation. We have sufficient food. You haven't seen opening up of importation of maize into the country on account of very successful implementation of this program. Properly deployed, registered farmers. Do you know for a fact, Fred, that when we came into government, that there was a bill of close to 8 billion shillings that had been set aside to register farmers? But do you know how much this administration spent? Less than 100 million shillings, because they used the provincial administration to register each farmer complete with their size of land, and that is what determines the number of fertilizer bags that you're given, and you pay, you receive a voucher, you go to NCPB, and you redeem your voucher and get your fertilizer. Successfully implemented last year. Because of that success, definitely, there has been huge interest, first by farmers, because they are happy with the fertilizer that they received last year. It gave them a bumper harvest. But secondly, by also business players who want now to participate in this program.
Are you reading sabotage in this?
Of course. Remember, when we used to issue gazettement of importation of maize from outside the country, there were people who used to do that business. Do you think they are sitting happily now knowing that the country is about to be food sufficient? There are people who are selling this fertilizer at 7,000 and making a kill. Now that it has been reduced to 2,500 Kenya shillings, they can't sit pretty on their laurels as they watch their business disappear. Therefore, what the minister, and this is a part that I think my good friend C.S. Linturi needs to up his game, is that he needs to confirm to the country who are the listed providers of this fertilizer. How many of them have the certifications from KEBS and what tests were done? Then finally, of the fertilizer bags that citizens have raised questions about, how many have been found to indeed fail the standards test? And therefore KEBS needs to answer and tell us how did this fertilizer, because they were random tests. You know what happens when you do importation via the port. They come and pick random samples so that to make it difficult for you to collude from the shipment that you have brought in. And once you have done the test, it is certified and say it is fit for use to do the purpose for which it was intended. So we need to know which are these companies. Okay. And that is what the CS is taking long to reveal to the country. And I wish he can speak up on that so that we can resume, because believe you me, the other problem that we have, Fred, unfortunately, and I know this because I speak to farmers, I'm their representative, there's a certain type of how fertilizer looks like that citizens were used to. But this specific type that the ministry put together doesn't take that form and shape.
It looks different.
It looks different. So people, when they look at it, they say, this is not fertilizer, because they expect some white granules. Okay. And therefore, we want to tell people also, don't turn yourself into a KEBS of some sort.
Okay, because now the issue is the disjointed communication.
Yes, exactly.
From different cabinet ministers.
Exactly.
And now from the leader of majority in the Senate, on whether or not there is actually fake fertilizer in distribution.
The last report that I read is that the National Development something committee, the one chaired by I think head of public service or something, when they made the decision to stop the distribution until first they certify whether the claims were true. That's a report that I'm awaiting.
So